Welcome to Immediate Review, where we see a movie in theaters and review it immediately. Though this time we haven't seen the movie yet.
Not yet.
But we will soon. If you don't want to listen to us right now, go to this time in the... Go,
now, if you want
do
to.
it.
So, we're just going to talk about, before we review Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, we just kind of want to talk about our feelings about Star Wars. We just going to talk about our feelings about Star Wars. And, if you don't want to hear it, skip ahead. But, so... Peter, how do you feel about Star Wars in general, and how do you feel about this next film? Are you excited for it?
I mean, that's a loaded question, honestly.
Exactly.
Like, the reason why we're doing this. So, if you were to ask, 15-year-old me, I would have been like, fucking woo! I stood in line for Revenge of the Sith for 9 hours. Okay?
We're part of the prequel generation. We were 9 when Phantom Menace came out, so we like the movies for nostalgia reasons, but acknowledge that they're terrible.
yeah, they're really hard to watch. But regardless, I would have been super stoked. But, I didn't see Solo,
I did.
I've
seen it 4 times. I still don't remember it. Sorry.
Yeah, I've just kind of gotten burnt out on Star Wars, honestly.
Everybody
especially
has.
After The Last Jedi, man. It left a bad taste in my mouth. But I am excited for this movie.
I am too. It's Star Wars. Fuck.
Yeah, it's creeped up on me. I haven't been. It hasn't been in my head. Oh, I want to go see that movie. It's kind of just been oh yeah, Star Wars is coming. Cool. And
then, I could wait another year, honestly.
Yeah, and here we are. The night that it's coming out, and so
we're not even at the theater yet. We're at a Wendy's drive-thru.
Not sponsored, but want to be sponsored. And yeah, I just, I'm excited for this movie. I really want it to be good. I want it to end the saga really well. I wish only good things for it, but, it
might be bad.
I have to be impartial when it comes to this stuff. And honestly, it's hard not to be biased in this sense. And so I'm going to try my best to view it, as objectively as possible, and not look at it the fan service that I know JJ's going to throw in there. I'm going to try not to be emotionally manipulated, and
it's happening.
Look at it with a clear head. And
dude, if they drop Duel of Fates, if they drop that needle, then 10 out of 10. I'm just kidding.
So and yeah, I'm excited that it's filmed on film. 35 and 70 millimeter. So and anybody that's seen the trailers, they know it looks good.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
So yeah, what about you? How do you feel about Star Wars?
So man, ever since when I was a little kid, the ending of Return of the Jedi, I always wanted more. I was never satisfied with just the final teddy bear shot and Lando dancing like this, and just I don't know. I never thought that was the end. I always wanted an Episode 7. And I got it, and I was so skeptical. I was like, fuck Disney. And I saw Force Awakens, and I loved it. Really enjoyed it. It's it totally harkens to Episode 1, but I feel Episode 1, the first movie, Episode 4. But I feel like it recontextualized the characters and made them interesting enough, for the most part. Finn especially. I just love the idea of an ex-stormtrooper who escaped and is now fighting for the Resistance rebels. It wasn't perfect. It's the shit, but it was a foundation, and I felt like the next two were just gonna be better. And then Last Jedi came out, and I've seen it a lot. We are not just nerdy fanboys. We are, but
I've seen it a few times.
I've tried to like it. It's not good. It's really not. It's my least favorite Star Wars movie aside from Solo. And so that being said, I'm not going into this it's Rise of Skywalker is going to be amazing, or the franchise is ruined, it's done.
We're going to let our subversions be expected.
I'm just going to watch the 9th Star Wars movie, man. And after Solo is so boring as shit, man. That's why I've seen it 4 times, because I keep forgetting it. And I just try to give it another chance, and it's just dull. And Last Jedi is just a visually stunning mess. It's gorgeous, but the script is a mess. Let's see what Rise of Skywalker brings. All right, we've prattled on long enough.
All right, we'll see you after the movie. Welcome to Immediate Review, where we see Star Wars in theaters and then talk about it. If you're here, you've already skipped forward, or you watched the whole thing if you're cool. Yeah, we just watched the movie. So I have to hide this fucking logo so I don't have to blur out a bunch of shit. So what did we all think of the movie? Oh, we're joined.
No spoilers initially, and then we'll get into spoilers.
Okay. We're joined by Travis.
Hello.
You saw the movie with us. He is our impartial Star Wars expert.
This dude. Hey, Travis. Do you know who Ryan Johnson is?
Who? I don't know.
Do you know who Ryan Johnson is?
No.
Do you know who Kathleen Kennedy is?
Nope.
Do you know who J.J. Abrams is?
That sounds familiar.
All right.
Okay, he directed the one we just
basically,
watched.
this guy is impartial. He's not part of any Star Wars agenda.
I like the original.
Whatsoever. I like the original. Damn straight. Prequels sucked. How old were you when the prequels came out?
The prequels?
Yeah, real quick. 1999.
That's when the first one came out?
Yeah.
I was 19.
19 and you hated it?
I don't think I saw that one in the theaters. I saw the next two, though, for sure, man.
Okay, sweet.
But the first one, it was like, man, all that Jar Jar Binks stuff, it was all over Taco Bell and everything. It just seemed really cheesy when you were like 19, 20. You're like, what is it? Like, all this propaganda at like Taco Bell and everything. It was just
all right, let's get to
top.
Let's get to it, though. Impartial viewer, what'd you think?
Yeah, what'd you think of this movie?
Oh, man. Like the first 10, 15 minutes, I was like, oh no, this is not going well. And as it went on, there was parts of it that kind of caught me, but overall it was kind of like 50-50, I would say.
Yeah,
enough with the God, that towards the end, I don't know how far we're gonna get into that stuff.
Oh, yeah, this is just general.
Okay, yeah.
So no spoilers.
Just 50-50, yeah.
50-50.
I will say there was a lot of fan service. So, fans of Star Wars.
I mean, this whole sequel trilogy has basically been that.
It really
so
is,
it's like...
But, yeah, I'm gonna say my 2 cents next.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also just like to say the whole time I was thinking, this is better than Endgame. It's a lot like Endgame.
It is a lot like Endgame.
It's a lot like Endgame, and it's better.
Eat your heart out, Marvel fans. This movie... okay, I have to compare it to The Last Jedi. I have to, because it's a direct sequel, and there is a lot of references to it. But with all those references, you don't have to watch The Last Jedi to understand what's going on. It seriously, the only thing is that Luke isn't around. That's the only thing that really changes. The whole, everything getting wiped out at the end of The Last Jedi. They got a fleet at the beginning of this movie. All right, and I have to say this, man. In The Last Jedi, there are 5 locations. Okay, we've got Sith ship, rogue ship, we've got Casino Planet
prequel.
We've got fucking where they have the fucking final battle, and then where Luke's planet is. That's it.
Octu.
In the first 20 minutes of The Rise of Skywalker, we have more locations than that.
I was gonna say this movie is AKA let's get to it.
Yeah. And the locations are amazing. There's fucking Ryan Johnson never did anything as cool as a fucking, I don't know, Sith palace in the fucking in the dark, shit, and just floating elevators and all just sorts of just awesome stuff. And
Last Jedi has an impressive production design, though. It does. Not as good as this, but it is good.
I'm not trying to compliment Ryan Johnson right now, okay? I'm trying to talk shit on him, okay? So I really enjoyed this movie. I genuinely, the first little bit I was okay, and then it just, I don't know, when we got to the desert planet where they were having the party and whatnot, and all the aliens are dancing
for me too.
And yeah, it just started kicking ass. And when Lando showed up, we see a stormtrooper take an arrow to the goddamn it's fucking awesome. It's so good until the end.
Wait. We haven't spoiled anything, right?
No.
Right, okay.
You did say about the desert planet, but that's okay.
I
it's
mean,
like the
yeah,
first
desert
15
planet.
in the
and
trailer.
everybody
That's
knows
15
Lando's
minutes,
there.
yeah.
Like,
All right, I'm just saying, tread carefully.
No, I know. But yeah, it's really good until the end. I liked parts of the ending and didn't like specific things that I'll talk about later. But yeah, like it's like Dakota said, it's like Endgame. Like it's very, very similar to Endgame, and man, I feel like it does better. I feel like it did everything that Endgame tried to do better. There were stakes. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, Rise of Skywalker's got problems, but if the hill you're gonna die on is that it's fan service and Endgame's your favorite movie of the year, you're a little bitch. That's all I'm gonna say. Sorry to be so oppositional there.
Yeah.
But I had a blast during this, man. I really did. And you know what? Like, I don't know, man. It had its problems, but like, it felt Star Wars when Star Wars first started. It was always intended to be an homage to old school, like swashbuckling serials and like Flash Gordon and all the matinees and fucking 12 parts series that people would go to back in the day. Down to the screen crawl. That's why the titles were always so theatrical, like The Empire Strikes Back and like Attack of the Clones. Is like the Star Wars movies were always trying to harken back to like serials with a mix of like Western and samurai influence following the hero's journey. And Force Awakens and Last Jedi, good or bad, however you feel, they kind of lost that serial style. And this to me just had like the perfect amount of just like cheese and kind of just like space adventure hoo-ha shenanigans. I was just so on board. And it was fun. And it was fucking impressive. And like the set design was amazing. All the special effects are great. The cinematography's good. Like, it's well acted. I just like, I don't know. I had a blast. It's got problems. It does. But it's yeah, I don't know. It felt like a fucking fun Star Wars movie. And honestly, I heard a lot of stuff that this one didn't have too much originality and stuff. I honestly didn't think this was like a carbon copy of Return of the Jedi or any of them. It had elements towards the end, especially, but like this didn't feel like just exactly like Force Awakens is A New Hope. Last Jedi is Empire Strikes Back with some Return of the Jedi. Like Rise of Skywalker is just, it's crazy. It's fucking Rise of Skywalker. And I respected the hell out of that. And I thought this both did and didn't take as many risks as Last Jedi. Like, there were times where I thought this was more subversive, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, than Last Jedi. The opening especially. Like, I was honestly hooked from the beginning. I just thought the opening was a fucking, like, ballsy way to just start it. It was just so different from anything we've seen before. And I don't know. I will say I'd like an extended cut. I'd like a little less quick cutting during certain scenes. I'd like better segues during certain moments. Yeah, I just feel like they trimmed the shit out of this. Like, it really just does feel like there's shit missing that it needs.
Yeah, especially towards the end too. Like when they had their whole like, emotional revelation wrap up, and then they fade to black, and then we have our final scene. I feel like there could have been a little more in that final scene. But the whole wrapping up after the final battle is good.
But yeah, that's our general thoughts. I liked it. I liked it more than Last Jedi.
Oh, way more than Last Jedi.
I just like, yeah, we can get into that later maybe. But Force Awakens, I think I think I respect this more than Force Awakens. I think it's definitely a bolder movie that takes bigger risks than Force Awakens. But Force Awakens is just a tighter, better edited, better pace, better action. Just like Force Awakens is better than this. And then Rise of Skywalker, prequels. What would you say? It's better than the prequels?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's better than all three of the prequels.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
probably combined.
So yeah, that's good Star Wars.
Yeah. This is good Star Wars.
Let's be real. Star Wars isn't perfect. Everybody acts like Star Wars is the most sacred fucking like franchise ever. It's like, go watch the holiday special. Go watch Caravan of Courage, the fucking Ewok Adventures. Go watch some of the stupid cartoons and the spin-offs. Some of the specials they did in like the 70s and stuff.
Attack of the Clones.
They've been doing it
Attack of the Clones. But that animated Clone Wars movie. It's like Star Wars has always had a dirty past. Don't act like it's some fucking sacred thing that's just now being trampled on.
It's always been exploited.
It always, man. like,
right, let's go to spoilers. Boom, 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 boom.
Reza Palpatine. What's up?
Yeah, Reza Palpatine. What the
fuck?
fuck?
Last Jedi. Put that mask back on Kylo Ren.
Yep.
Oh, how about the scene when Luke is like, grabs the lightsaber and is like, a Jedi's weapon should never be treated with disrespect. That is a fuck you to Rian Johnson when he threw the lightsaber back.
Thank you, J.J.
Oh,
Abrams,
that was
for
great.
fucking doing that.
I think that's part of why I liked this movie too. Is it really did stick it to Last Jedi, and I'm like, good. Fuck yes.
No, yeah, like the Last Jedi had no semblance. Like literally, it's just we gotta run away. We gotta get away. They're coming. And then this one, it's like there's MacGuffins fucking left and right.
And at first I was like, oh, we're in a MacGuffin. But then I started thinking about the hero's journey and just like the classic thing.
Yeah,
and Star Wars doesn't use MacGuffins often. And I was like, you know what? Do your fucking MacGuffin. Let's do it. Let's fucking have fun in space.
And there was like 3 of them, and each one of them was fucking awesome and had a reason why they needed it, even if it wasn't necessarily.
And they subverted expectations when he broke it. I can see that coming.
Okay, so they did some crazy stuff with the Force in this one. They pushed some boundaries. I honestly, I really wish that Matt was here as well, because he knows so much. He went and saw.
We're gonna have. We might have to do a follow up.
We might do a follow up review of this, because there is a lot to unpack. Like there is a lot to unpack. But yeah, they do some crazy stuff with the Force. Like in The Last Jedi, I at the very end, the first time I saw it, when you know, they had the item and whatnot, or whatever it was like a bracelet or fucking some shit. I can't remember because it's a bad movie. But like Luke is able to like hand it over and then it disappears in Leia's hand, I'm pretty sure. And it's like, fucking, that's a cop out. They should have fucking went with it. And fucking J.J. Abrams goes full bore. Yeah, they can transfer physical objects through long distances in space using the Force. It's fucking awesome.
And the cutting between the Rey and Kylo Force time scenes, they were way better.
Super good.
I did think it's okay to talk about stuff towards the end now.
No, we're in spoiler territory.
Spoil it all.
Travis, because you kind of don't want to stay out too late. Do you want to?
Oh no, it's cool, man.
Okay, cool.
I did like towards the end in the scene where they she holds it behind her back, the lightsaber, and then he grabs it, and I thought, wow, that really paid off, because I mean, it was neat seeing that he could grab her necklace and, you know, like, oh, hey, she's in this country, but then like that it could actually pay off in them collaborating in battle. That was that was fucking badass.
I agree, man. And you know what else paid off? The X-Wing that was in Luke's fucking little lagoon in The Last Jedi that Rian Johnson fucking just used as a cock tease to trick us that Luke wasn't really there. Ooh. But yeah, she fucking took it, and Luke, he did it. That was some good fan service. I liked that. That was a good callback. I appreciated that. And Rey didn't act like she knew what he was like doing. You know what I mean? She just acted like it was a normal moment. Mm-hmm. It was for the audience. I don't know. It wasn't like Rey.
She was like, oh, he's doing something that I don't have context.
No, she's like, oh, cool. Like, she's not like amazed by this like Luke was. You know what I mean? I don't know, but yeah. What else? What do you wanna dive in on?
So yeah, I need to dive into the title.
Oh,
So-
Emperor controlled Snoke. Yeah,
Yep,
I guessed that from the
yeah,
beginning.
Yeah, we fucking thought of that from the very start. That fucking the voices that Kylo was hearing was Palpatine from the whole fucking time, and that Palpatine trained Snoke. That was like our prediction the first time we saw Force Awakens, and we talked about it. And
It seemed like a Wizard of Oz type thing.
and yeah, they did.
What?
It's true. It's true. You're right. This is why we need you.
I know.
And yeah, I was like, thinking about like the rise of Skywalker and like what that meant, and like it is in the title. It's like the only Skywalker that we have left is Ben, and this story is his redemption. Like we see him redeemed in the eyes of his family and in the Force, and he gets to part his life essentially on the light side. And then we get our expectations subverted a little bit with Rey claiming the Skywalker name and carrying that on rather than carrying Palpatine.
I liked that because there was the line earlier about like blood, and Luke told her he was just like basically like you can pick your family, and like I don't know, there was an element of like killing your shitty grandpa and fucking like going with your real family. And I really like, that fucking the way Rey killed Palpatine with his own lightning. Because, like, even as a kid, I was just like, oh, the Emperor could still be alive. He just fell down there. And, like, Revenge of the Sith, though, establishes that he can be, like, melted away with his own shit. And so she doubles down on the lightsaber and fucking... it's possible it could fucking kill him. And I bought it, man. I totally bought that finale... stuff afterwards.
Well, and the thing that's important in that scene is all of the voices that she hears as she decides to stand up. Like she hears Samuel L. Jackson's voice, like Mace Windu fucking talks to her, and he had the most success fighting Palpatine out of anybody. Like the first person to deflect lightning back at him and cause all of that wounds was fucking Mace Windu.
Mace and Yoda.
And yeah, they put their knowledge into fucking into Rey, and she was able, like, it has a reason why she was able to beat Palpatine, because she fucking avatared the last Airbendered it and had all of the ancestors of the Jedi fucking power up her Jedi mode, and she fucking did it.
All right.
Hell yeah.
So one thing that's like cool but kind of awkward is those training scenes at the beginning, those are deleted scenes from Force Awakens.
That's what I thought.
And it's like, it's so hilarious that they were like, oh, the training, we can just cut that. And it became like the most controversial fucking thing ever that we never see Rey train. And so they put it back into this movie and really worked in Leia well, honestly. However, her sacrifice kind of meant nothing when Rey just heals Ben. Because it's like, she like sacrifices herself so Ben can be tricked, and then...
But I mean, he changes sides, so it works, but he has to have his words with Han before, which I loved that they brought Han back in.
Yeah.
And just
Luke
a quick...
got his moment.
Yeah, just a little quick thing. Like, they had voice actors from, like, all of the Jedi that we experienced, I feel like. Like, even the council members that were, like, had names in, like, Phantom Menace and Clone Wars and whatnot, but, like... they all became one with the Force, and they all had like little voices there, even Liam Neeson. And it's like, I appreciate the attention to detail, and the fact that, I mean, they kind of do the Harry Potter thing where, like, when their wands lock and all of the different spirits that he's killed essentially come out in sequence, and that happens to Rey, all in the order that they die, they all speak.
Yeah,
and it's super fucking cool. I
bought it, and I thought it was a solid ending. I don't know. I think Last Jedi for me, like, it's just not a good Star Wars movie, and so whatever you follow it up with is going to be good. And I don't know. It just felt like a solid adventure movie. I don't know, and it felt good. I'm seeing it again tomorrow, and I'm stoked.
Seeing it again tomorrow?
Yeah, with Person A.
Nice.
Son of a bitch.
Son of a
You
bitch.
son of a bitch, I'm
in. Okay, let's do a little more positivity before we get into all the problems. So,
Okay.
what are other revelations?
Okay, the force use in this movie was goddamn excellent.
It was
like,
excellent.
Fucking Ryan Johnson does not know how to do force, and goddamn it, J.J. Abrams, like, I feel like he
should have done the whole goddamn
really
trilogy.
He really should have. And I feel like in Force Awakens he was just like kind of testing the waters a little bit. Like, I'll dip my toe in here, do a little mirror blaster effect here, a little bit of force stasis, a little bit of fucking, communicating back and forth and whatnot. And this one just takes it above and beyond. Like, they're like, Rey does fucking force lightning and shit. They like play tug of war with a goddamn ship, like straight out of Force Unleashed and shit. The video game.
Two lightsabers there.
Yeah, like
doing crazy shit.
Dual wielding lightsabers. We did have the scene from the trailer where she pulls out the double bladed red, and it was a vision or fucking whatever. But we had it. I'm pretty sure that was what we predicted. It was probably a Force vision, but like still super cool to see Rey fight herself and whatnot, and like the sharp teeth and whatnot were cool on her like dark side version and whatnot. And I really liked, kind of jumping back to Palpatine, how his body wasn't like, he wasn't just walking around. He was like legit attached to a fucking crane
And had to
thing.
constantly be injected
thinking,
with shit.
Yeah, he was
what is
like
he, some sort of H.R. Geiger? Like, I was like, oh man, that was the way they set that up for him was pretty sweet.
That was a good set
and
design.
yeah,
You're right,
'cause it-
H.R. Geiger, good call.
yeah, and it's like, because she looks at the throne expecting him to be there, and he's like, yeah, I've got all this shit in my back, and I literally am like, I'm a corpse attached to this crane that's keeping me alive. Please kill me. So
mechanical.
And yeah, that whole thing of like, when I die, I carry the Sith, and my memories and everything will be reborn in you. I really like that. It's I don't know if JJ took that from Attack on Titan, because there's a theme that's very similar that I'm not going to spoil the details because it's worth watching. Watch Attack on Titan, but it's very similar and was done really fucking well here, and it led into the whole like Endgame thing of like, I am Iron Man, I am the Jedi. I fucking loved how the climax ended. That's like, fucking eat your heart out, Marvel fans. Disney's fucking
Disney owns them both.
Yeah, literally.
Wait.
So when it does that, it's gonna
We're good.
make a break, and so there'll be a little bit of video missing, but we can, it's whatever. Anyhow. So, any other
Ian
like,
McDermott as Palpatine, man.
Oh, yeah.
Travis, hold that thought. I'll pass it to you. But he did great. I mean, he's great in the other movies, but he's like super over the top and hammy. I mean, he's just like, do it, yeah.
True.
Why? Like, he's all, even in Return of the Jedi, he's always just been so fun. And in this one, he took it seriously. He just like really loved his chance to come back to Star Wars. And like, there was even a point where he went, we reference it all the time, that do it. Like, we reference that shit all the time, and every time in Revenge of the Sith I laugh. He did it in this, and it was so good. I didn't laugh at all. It was super serious, and like, I don't know, he brought it for me. I was very pleased.
And a lot of his lines were fan service too, like the whole the dark side is a gateway to power.
But that's all. That's
deemed to be unnatural. He says that whole fucking.
It's like,
thing
yeah,
at the
it's
beginning of
fan
the movie.
service, but at the same time, that's his
No,
mantra.
it's
That's how he
true.
manipulates
Yeah.
people, man.
No, it is
True.
true. It's very true.
All right, passing it.
Oh, the only thing I was adding on was when you were talking about how he did a good job with using the Force. I was just saying the dark side of the Force as well. Like, I mean, just all of a sudden, whoop, he's got a whole army of like ships. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah.
that was pretty epic.
Okay.
Hidden in the ice.
Okay, so yeah.
Just like all of a sudden.
They kind of go into this in
Uh-huh.
The Force Awakens. So
Okay.
they have a ship that can essentially build. Sorry, there's some people in the car trying to get in the car next to us. There's like a way to build factories that can steal energy and mass from stars. And this is shown in The Force Awakens. It's shown much better in the first Knights of the Old Republic game. You get to the very end of that. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a fucking awesome thing that can build large amounts of ship by pulling matter out of stars, and it's very fucking cool. So the way that like fleets like that were made by essentially the ancient, not the ancient Sith religion, but the species built those machines, essentially these like huge factories. And in The Force Awakens, we actually see Palpatine using that technology to build the Star Killer base, essentially. And so basically like fleets like that are very possible to build, but I didn't really buy. I kind of had to disbelieve some stuff with like, oh yeah, they got to take out this like radar thing, and then none of them can leave the planet ever. It's like, why? It's like they have they're star destroyers. Like they don't have individual Navi computers to fucking maneuver. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, really?
Stunted.
They take out one antenna and that beats everybody. But they sent it to the big ship. And then it's like,
we'll get into the negatives.
They'll destroy the ship, and so I had to disbelieve
I was just pointing out. I thought that part was cool. There's the negatives.
Yeah, it's like I didn't hate it, but I had to disbelieve a bit about Star Wars.
Oh, I said that phrase multiple times in my head.
Later on, when they brought out what was actually the reality of all that, I was like, well, that was weak.
Yeah.
But initially, when he did that, I was like, fucking badass, man.
Yeah.
And then,
And when all the ships show up and whatnot, so fucking Endgame again, eat your heart out. Fucking all the fleet ships show up and we fucking start beat down Thanos.
Lando killed it. Billy D. Williams,
yes.
Welcome back. Everybody applauded. People didn't applaud for Mark Hamill or even Harrison Ford. I was surprised.
Yep.
But Billy D. Williams got a huge...
It's because he shot a stormtrooper in the face with an arrow before he took off his helmet. It was badass. Like,
I really loved they addressed that Finn is an ex-stormtrooper and he meets someone who's an ex-stormtrooper and there's a whole cult of ex-stormtroopers and they stormtroop the base. It was awesome. I was so happy because that's one of the things I hate about Last Jedi is it doesn't even... There's a scene where fucking Rose is like, listen, Finn, slavery is bad. Child slavery in war is bad. Don't you understand, Finn? And he's like, yeah, I was raised as a child soldier slave all my life. I've only been free for 3 days. Let me enjoy this casino, you mean lady. That's why Last Jedi sucks. But I really enjoyed that. I thought that was great. And when I saw horses in the trailer, I was like, horses? How are they going to work horses in it? When he's like, why can't we jam them? He's like, they're not on speeders.
That was sick.
Fucking horses.
When
crazy.
I was expecting that to go corny. I was just like, oh, why can't we jam their speeders? And they just go, we're being jammed. Or something like that. But yeah, they did it way better than that.
They did it, man. They succeeded, man. Horses in space. What else? C-3PO. He got the spotlight. He got a lot of great scenes. They didn't just shove him off to the fucking side.
They didn't kill him.
No.
Yeah.
They didn't. They like try to do a moment where you think it's gonna be sad, and then they make it really funny, and then they fix everything.
Yeah.
So it's like it just.
We'll get to that in the negatives.
You feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like how everything happens. Like he's able to make his sacrifice without really having to sacrifice anything at all, which is awesome.
He still doesn't hang out with R2 enough. We get to see we get to see the trio do shit together as a trio. In Force Awakens, like Rey and Finn partner up and Poe and Finn partner up, but they never get together. And then at the end of Last Jedi, Poe finally meets Rey. And it's like our trio has had no chemistry until this movie.
Right.
And so we finally get an opportunity to have the three of them go on an adventure, and they're great. They're awesome. Why the fuck couldn't JJ do the middle chapter? My God. I'm so like that's the thing. A lot of this movie's flaws comes from the corner JJ was pushed into with Last Jedi. And the lack of options like JJ gave him, or JJ, Ryan Johnson. But
seriously though, like, you know, Ryan Johnson, it felt like Ryan Johnson just wanted to destroy Star Wars, and anybody that didn't like him doing that was a Nazi.
Ryan Johnson said that.
Nice.
Essentially. What else was great? What, Travis? What you got? What was great?
Oh, great parts. Oh man. I think you touched on it in the beginning. As soon as they hit that desert planet with the celebration, I thought that as a planet and environment was pretty awesome. That's kind of what sucked me into the movie. The intro, I don't know what it was, just didn't do it for me. I don't even remember the intro.
It just instantly cut to Kylo like just taking over some random planet fighting, like,
yeah, it was just,
and then it just instantly was like the Emperor, and I was like, whoa, we're fucking just,
Yeah,
I was like, was this a cut?
right into
I
it?
couldn't remember the last movie, so I was like, is this a cutscene? Did I forget what happened?
And I was like, damn, okay, here we go.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like the title crawl like says that Kylo's desperately seeking out Palpatine, and that he knows that he's out there, and he's got to find him. He knows where he's at. He's got to figure out how to get there, and like that's the first scene. He's slaughtering everybody, getting the fucking map, going to the fucking place, talking to him, and joining him.
I would like a smoother introduction in the extended cut, because it, like, you know, does the classic, like, scrolls over, pans down, there's the planet, and then it's just like cut to Kylo Ren attacking people.
Yeah.
And I mean, talk about subverting expectations. There you go.
True.
Even Ryan Johnson followed the old tired formula of
good to
having a
do something
space
new.
battle at the beginning of your movie. Ugh, let the past die.
I mean, I will say that's my
I was
favorite
being
part about Last
sarcastic.
Jedi, when it kind of pans down and then
No, I know, it's
falls
fine.
down
I
to the
just
planet.
like
I
Ryan
that.
Johnson's always so pompous about the fact that he subverts shit, and everyone's like, he's so genius and he doesn't follow the tropes. And it's like, yes, he does. He just does stupid things once in a while. And JJ did subvert things in this many times where I was like, damn.
Yeah, there were some dumb things in this movie that I
One
There
other
were.
thing I did
not
like,
approve
I
of.
will say before we move on to, or if you're moving on to
Nope,
something.
do it.
That-
And Travis
Towards
has
the
final
end,
thought.
man, the sequence where the battle against the Emperor, just so gothic, man. The way that he, like, just the whole way that whole scene was shot, everything, amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very.
I don't
very
know.
good
You guys
color
probably have more
grading.
detail on that, but that was badass. That whole
I
20-minute, I don't know, however long that scene was, but
So,
epic.
so
Yeah, epic's a good word for this movie.
It is, it's
honestly.
epic.
Very epic.
and I think
like,
that's why it succeeds.
Yeah.
So my biggest problem with the movie is there are a lot of moments where I'm like, whoa, that was, oh, never mind. Yeah, Chewie's dead. No, he's not.
Too much
fucking-
cheese.
C-3PO's memories wiped. Oh, no, it's back. Here
Is
you
he
go.
gonna be an evil C-3PO? He's got red eyes.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
scared.
like Kylo's dead. No, he's not. It's Kylo's dead again. Wait, he's back. No, he's not. Rey's dead.
Rey's going to the dark side.
You
Oh
know-
no, she's not.
You know what
she's
was the
not.
worst for me? Towards
Um,
the end, the Lando, like, oh, we'll have to find out who you're.
That was so bad.
I was like, oh my god.
I was like, this scene should be better. Whatever.
Like,
Fuck it. It's not
It was like,
Last
oh,
Jedi.
gee, she's your kid too. Another kid thing. It was just like, come on, man. That was too much.
No,
for
the
me.
schmaltzy moments
That
were
was too much.
were lame as shit. But
I don't know.
I literally thought in my head every time, I was like, it ain't Last Jedi. And the audience wasn't obnoxious. We had a great
yeah,
audience.
Good audience.
Clapping, laughing at the right moments.
Yeah, that's
you know.
part of why my first audience with Last Jedi
And
was
so-
so
you could-
obnoxious.
You could hear some people disappointed in certain scenes, like, oh no, why did they put that? You know, and like that's good to.
Like Rey and Kylo kissing.
Yeah, it's like it's
Yeah.
good to hear that feedback.
I was
like,
gonna mention
you know.
that as like the thing that happens. It's just like, oh,
You're
Rey,
right, though.
Rey and
It's good to
Kylo-
hear that.
Rey
Yeah.
and Kylo are gonna fall in love. Oh no, no, he's dead.
No, he's dead.
But yeah, like
Why do it?
I didn't like the kiss when it happened, but then Kylo died, and then I thought, like his whole life flashed before
It's just
my
a little
eyes.
pity kiss.
And yeah, it's like
Whatever.
he's-
Luke kissed his sister.
and he's
She's got the kiss of death.
yeah, and he's probably never kissed a girl like ever, and so she's
he's
just
dead.
like, yeah, I'm gonna kiss you, and it's just like a little like that. This way you won't die with a virgin mouth. And yeah, and then she literally sucks his last name out of his body and is like, now I'm the Skywalker.
Dude, what's with that scene when Lando hit on that one chick?
I know, right?
He totally was like, "You'll have to come." I don't remember the line.
That was hilarious. He was like, "Oh gosh,
where are you from? I can show you."
No, say hi to Leia for me.
Yeah.
I think she'd like you.
There were multiple scenes where Lando was getting down.
Give this to Leia. You should give this to Leia yourself.
You should give it to Leia.
Give it
yourself.
to Leia yourself, yeah. And it was like the crowd was kind of like, ooh. You
guys laughed so hard.
And it's like, yeah. I mean, yeah. I
bet
honestly,
Kevin Smith laughed at that too.
That was a funny line.
I thought that that Leia's death was like kind of like not as good as it should have been, especially with Carrie Fisher dying after The Force Awakens.
She was in the movie more than I thought she would be, though.
Yeah, she was. But like with being in Last Jedi and not having Rian Johnson like give her a proper send off, I feel like while like it kind of just happens where it's just like she just is kind of like she's gonna do it, and then like nearly instantly she's sacrificed herself like immediately, and she dies or whatever from the connecting with Ben, and it saves Ben, which is good, and it was kind of redeemed with like seeing how upset Chewie was, and like having Poe having to become the general but not being like confident in like his ability to lead and things like that. But like in general, I just feel like there could in general more could have been done in terms of just like saying goodbye to her. It wasn't like last episode of How I Met Your Mother, it's like nothing like that, but I just feel like a little more could have been done to say goodbye to Carrie Fisher.
It's true. I just don't think they shot it. They didn't.
They did.
And it's
I mean,
like
nobody expected.
And
her
it's
to
like
die,
they didn't want to do CG. That's why they had her like kind of covered with a blanket and like did the classic force disappear and I like that she got the force disappear too.
Yeah, and she did it with her son too. Like they both fade at the same time, which I think is important. I
didn't want Kylo to be redeemed. It happened, and I'm not like pissed off or anything, but like. I personally was hoping that he would die the villain or something.
I was hoping he'd get redeemed.
It happened. It's fine.
I was glad that he got redeemed. He needed a redemption story. I was hoping that Rey was gonna fall. Rey presented as our hero, the Force Awakens and whatnot, and she falls, and Kylo is the one who has to essentially rise against the Knights of Ren.
I was thinking they would join, and then she'd kill him, because the whole Sith thing is like you team up, and then one takes out the other. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, no.
Yeah, and so I mean, it wasn't. There wasn't really anything that made me that took me out of the movie that made me hate it. There was just like little stuff here
just
and
snippets
there
of childish
was
humor.
Just kind of all right.
And you know what else has that? Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. Like some of the greatest Star Wars movies. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's got its flaws, and it's a Star Wars movie. I don't know. I kind of don't want it to be perfect. I like it the way it. Like this movie really just.
And it feels
it's Star Wars.
Yeah, and it feels like the end of a saga. Like if I think back like 28 years of loving Star Wars, and this being the end of our Skywalker saga, like while I do kind of want more, I'm okay with it.
I think this
with an extended cut, I feel like that could be that last little bit that just kind of closes the seam, and you can let the ship sail and be done with it.
I think this would be significantly diminished if they make another trilogy.
It will be,
because it is a very flawed film, but it's just like
I wouldn't be opposed to.
It's solid.
I wouldn't be opposed to another story that doesn't involve anyone from our timeline. Like, let's explore something else.
Just not episode 10. I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird to say that, where it's just like, it's flawed, but it's a good, satisfying final chapter. Yeah, I can't explain it. I think it's because Star Wars has never been perfect. So if this truly is the end, this movie kind of genuinely represent Star Wars in the purest way.
And yeah,
for
why
me.
couldn't fucking JJ just do the whole trilogy? Like, can somebody, like, can we get Disney to, like, write a memo about that, about why that happened? Because, like...
Their original plan was for different people to direct all of them, and then when nobody...
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, I know. And they didn't talk. They were like, we'll just let the story, like... It was basically, you know, that telephone game where one person talks into the other ear. Rian Johnson's the guy who just, like, said the opposite of what... He's me when I was in elementary school. That's what I used to do. Like, if the phrase was the dog walks, I'd be like, the cat jumped over the sink. And then the next person would say that, and when it got to the end, the teacher would always be like, what the hell happened? That's what Rian Johnson did.
So you're Rian Johnson.
I was when I was
a little
fifth grader.
Rian Johnson now is like yeah, 5th grade me. Anyways, side tangent. Travis, we've been chatting. You got anything to add?
No. I don't have too much more to add right there.
Yeah, let's do the list then.
Yeah.
Do the list. Is there any other big negatives you can think of that were just like eye roll or?
I mean, honestly, no. Like,
it was just little things.
Yeah, it's just little stuff, you know. Like you mentioned, the whole like Chewie dies and then he doesn't die, and like little stuff like that.
Those are
like,
the big ones
you
for
know,
me.
like it's like.
I guess my general feeling like negativity was just like. Just confusion on what are they trying to say here? You know what I mean? I don't know. And maybe I just should have thought of it more. Maybe I don't know. I don't usually have too many expectations, but I thought, I don't know. This Star Wars, maybe I thought there was more substance. Felt slightly lacking at times.
Yeah, they
That's
didn't
just
honestly
in general.
explore the philosophy of the Force too much. It was kind of just like, you know, anger bad, heal people good, and you gotta choose one, and then that's it. So like, I definitely get that, and it's like, you know, in comparison to like, I think it's in Empire Strikes Back when Yoda's like,
It's a big one.
you know, like, you know, luminous beings are we, you know, not this crude matter. Like, he fucking, you know, it's like the philosophy of the Jedi is explored in great detail in the original trilogy, and
there's no Yoda in this one,
and a bit in the prequels, but definitely not as much. It's more politics in that one.
I think the philosophy is like more explored in the prequels. Anakin has a lot of montages where he's like, the Jedi do this, the Jedi do that.
Yeah.
And Yoda's constantly preaching, and
I do like
Mace Windu's like, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Yeah,
true. There's a lot more mentorship there.
Yeah, I guess it's more just like dictating the like how the fall happens rather than, you know, what the actual like, you know, true teachings of like, you know, because we don't actually get a lesson with Yoda like ever in those, which I would desperately want. Just somebody make a video game that's literally just me sitting in front of Yoda and him talking about the Force. I'd buy that shit. $60. Let's do it.
So there are two things this movie did not follow up on that I was super disappointed. One, in The Force Awakens, Maz Kanata, when she gives Rey the lightsaber, Rey's like, where'd you get this? Or I think she gives it to Finn, actually. And he's like, where'd you get this? She's like, a good story for another time. And it's like, oh, another time, you know, the later movies. Yeah, they forgot that story. We did not find out how they got that lightsaber. The other one is Luke going into Kylo's room to kill him in The Last Jedi. Like, my headcanon is that the Emperor controlled him, but the movie did not clearly state that. You remember in Last Jedi how it's like, I thought Kylo was evil, so I was like, might as well kill him. And like, it never made sense to me, and I was always like, he's got to be being controlled by Snoke or Palpatine or something. And that's the story.
No follow-up.
Yeah, that's the story I'm going with.
Yeah,
but
that's an extended cut thing right there.
Yeah,
that definitely needs to be in there.
I just it makes absolutely no sense. He redeemed his father. Why would Ben wasn't even turned to the dark side yet? He was still down to train and become a Jedi. And Luke's like, I'll kill him now.
And yeah, I didn't see Andy Serkis in this either. I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he was credited on IMDb. I don't know. Maybe there was an after credit
that's
scene.
what I'm thinking. It probably deleted scene is what I'm thinking.
Probably.
Like something that wasn't. But that's the thing. Like,
or his voice is used somewhere in the background.
Yeah, like I would have been cool with another half an hour, honestly. Like to just to delve into like everything. The movie is so well paced.
I think they were afraid of the runtime, and they really chopped it down as much as they could. But yeah,
because it feels like there's a good 25-30 minutes missing from this that could really just, I don't know, piece the world together a little more.
I feel like if you like movies like Star Wars, you should be fine with a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean,
any fantasy epic,
I thought that was only 90 minutes, and then when you said, "Oh, it was 2.5 hours,"
you thought it was 90 minutes? Damn!
No, I had no clue. I just thought, oh, it's probably like a normal theatrical length.
Hell yeah.
So it went by quick.
Well, you know what? The list, we're going to do a follow-up review with Matt, so let's save the specific list for next time. I think we've got a good part 1 video. Stay tuned for part 2.
Yeah,
we're going to get 2 completely different people to do the review, and it's not going to be us for part 2.
Nice.
It'll be great. And then we'll come back for part 3 and fix everything that we didn't follow up on in this review.
Shut the fuck up.